Tarketiha Sangha Parana Samhitaha Ichapara Yoga Samira Deepita Gyanak Nina Rantita Karma Kamshaha Avandireya Smarananupavtaha Swayam Bhavantama Karmakam Atankraye Prana Mitaya Vishnu Upaharat Parmapavor Hanotakam Sarcha Bhaktyabhya Ginachati Shava Yanavi Pankeru Asamava Swayam. Translation. Among the great personalities who came to worship the lotus feet of the Lord were those who had attained perfection and self-control and regulative principles, as well as experts in logic, history, general education, and the Vedic literature known as kalpa, dealing with old historical incidents. Others were experts in the Vedic corollaries like Brahma Samhita, all the other knowledge of the Vedas, Sama, Yajur, Rig, and Atharva, and also the supplementary Vedic knowledge, Ayurveda, Dharmaveda, etc. Others were those who had been freed of the reactions to fruitive activities by transcendental knowledge awakened by practice of yoga, and still others were those who had attained residence in Brahmaloka, not by ordinary karma, but by advanced Vedic knowledge. After devotedly worshipping the upraised lotus feet of the Supreme Lord with oblations of water, Lord Brahma, who is born of lotus, emanating from Lord Vishnu's navel, offered prayers to the Lord. Text 4. Tatu kamandalu jalantaru kamasya pada vanejana pavitaya narendra sadunya purnavasi sapatati nirmarshti Loka Trayam Bhagavata Vishadeva Kirti. O King, the water from Lord Brahma's Kamandalu washed the lotus feet of Lord Vamanadev, who is known as Ukrama, the wonderful actor. Thus, that water became so pure that it was transformed into water of the Ganges, which went flowing down from the sky, purifying the three worlds like the pure fame of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport. Here we understand the Ganges began when the water from Lord Brahma's Kamandalu washed the lotus feet of Lord Vamanadev. But in the 5th canto it is stated, the Ganges began with Vamanadev's left foot, pierced the covering of the universe, so the transcendental water of the causal ocean leaked through. And elsewhere it is also stated, Lord Narayani appeared as the water of the Ganges. The water of the Ganges therefore is a combination of 3 transcendental waters, and thus the Ganges is able to purify the 3 worlds. This is the description given by Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So we'll go to verse 5. Brahmadya Lokanataha Sanataya Samaditaha Sanugabali Majahru Sangship Tatma Vibhutaye. Lord Brahma and all the predominating deities of the various planetary systems began to worship Lord Vamanadev, their supreme master, who had reduced himself from his all-pervading form to his original form. They collected all the ingredients and paraphernalia for this worship. Purport. Vamanadev first expanded himself to the universal form and then reduced himself to the original Vamana Rupa. Thus, he acted exactly like Lord Krishna, who, at the request of Arjuna, first showed his universal form and later resumed his original form as Krishna. The Lord can assume any form he likes, but his original form is that of Krishna. Krishna's to Bhagavan Swayam. According to the capacity of the devotee, the Lord assumes various forms so the devotee can handle him. This is his causeless mercy. When Lord Vamanadev resumed his original form, Lord Brahma and his associates collected various paraphernalia for worship with which to please him. Mukam karati vachalam bhangam langate girim yakipamtam hambande sikurum tenatavinam Om Gana Tamirandasya Gananjara Shakaya Chakshamitam Yena Tasamashikurave Namaha. So we are very fortunate today. We're in the association of Lord Brahma, all the great sages, the brahmacharis, everybody's here today with us, worshiping Lord Vamanadev. Of course, in this purport, this last purport, it's talking about different universal forms. Arjuna also experienced universal form of Krishna. Duryodhana also experienced universal form. There are different kinds of universal forms. So this one seems not so scary. Arjuna's form was very scary. It was Arjuna said, well, "Who are you?" And Krishna said, "Time. Time I am." So what is connected with all the different universal forms is the factor of time. Time is there. A form of destruction. Of course, for the devotees, we like to see the two-armed form of Krishna. So I'm going to talk about Nrsimhadev in the seminar. So Nrsimhadev, he showed one form to Hiranyakashipu, a very ferocious form. But to Prahlad didn't see that ferocious form. He saw the sweet, nice form of Krishna, actually. This is my father come to save me. So Arjuna was a bit bewildered. He was also a little bit disturbed. But according to Gita, his disturbance was not because of the scary form, but it was because he thought, maybe I committed offenses. I didn't know Krishna was like this. I didn't know he could show such a form. So time is there for everyone, but for the devotees, it is different from time for the non-devotees. For the non-devotees, it's described just like a rat in the mouth of a cat. The rat is feeling really scared, really horrified. Oh, he knows I'm going to be eaten alive, and where he's going, he doesn't know. But the kitten in the mouth of the cat is feeling protected, safe, very, very nice. He feels like his mother is taking him home. So the devotee is like the kitten in the mouth of the cat. Actually, I saw some pictures on Facebook yesterday about this fire in Los Angeles, and some dogs were going in and saving the kittens from the burning house, and they had a kitten in the mouth. So I hope the kitten was feeling okay in the dog's mouth, but anyway. Yeah. But actually, during our lifetime, we can also feel the teeth of the cat. It may not be just a time of death, and that means that actually we see that, oh no, this is Krishna. He's just taking me. I know when difficulties come, we might feel the teeth, but it's not the same as the non-devotees. For non-devotees, it's Kala Sarpa. It's the snake of time. But for devotees, it's Krishna. Krishna, the hand of Krishna is there. And that's what Bali Maharaj was feeling, and he will express that later I believe in the next chapter. That, yes, Bali is actually, feeling, oh, Krishna, maybe I was going the wrong direction, and now Krishna is saving me from going in the wrong direction. So, yes, Bhishma Dev in Bhagavatam, he said, how wonderful is the influence of inevitable time. It's irreversible. Otherwise, how could there be reverses in the presence of King Yudhisthira, son of Dharma, and Bhima, a great fighter with a club, Arjuna with a bow and arrow, and Krishna is their friend, and still they had to suffer inconveniences. So why do great devotees seem to suffer? In the purport of Bhishma Dev's prayers, Lord Krishna says, the Lord teaches the world by teaching the devotee. The devotee doesn't have to learn anything new from the Lord because he teaches from within, Prabhupada. This is Prabhupada saying. So whenever a show is made to teach the devotee, as in the case of teachings of Bhagavad Gita, it's for teaching the less intelligent men. So sometimes we're also meant to be an example of the Lord teaching the devotee. And it's described, I guess in Indian culture, you can understand this, that the mother-in-law teaches the daughter-in-law by teaching the daughter. So we are like children of Krishna, and the rest of the non-devotees are like the daughter-in-law. So Krishna teaches the children by teaching the daughter-in-law. So, yes, Yudhisthira was asked in Mahabharata that, okay, is it good now? Yudhisthira was asked in Mahabharata, what is the news? What is the news? I mean, we all are interested in the news. So I'll tell you what the news is forever. That we are all in a gigantic frying pan. That's what Yudhisthira said. And the sun is the fire, and the days and nights are the fuel, and the months and seasons are the stirring ladle, and we are being cooked. Who is the cook? Time. Time is cooking us. And some of us are well done, and some of us are fried completely. Yes, we can say that. Time is frying us. Prahlad also says, you know, I'm being crushed by the wheel of time. So yes, we have to, and that's why we have to surrender to Krishna. One of the many reasons why we have to surrender to Krishna is we're being crushed by time. And Bali is an example. He's teaching the world. Krishna is teaching the world by teaching Bali how to surrender to Krishna. We heard yesterday how Maharaj was saying, you know, he was kind of making a show. Well, what about this? And, you know, no, I need my fame. Fame is important. But actually, he knew it was Krishna, and he wanted to surrender. That was in his heart. So Krishna knew, yes, Vishnu knew, Vamandev knew his heart. And he wanted to increase his devotional service. He wanted to make him advance. But in this world, most people fear time. Why do people fear time? Because he's actually changing everything, and he's bringing death. Why do they? Another reason why they fear time, here it says in Bhagavatam 3:29-37, that the time factor is another feature of Krishna. It's just Krishna. And that's why Prahlad Maharaj was not afraid of Nrsimhadev. Oh, it's Krishna. I don't have to worry. He's on my side. So a devotee knows this is Krishna. Prabhupada one time was sick for 3 days. He was tossing and turning, fever, dysentery. So after 3 days, his servant asked him that, does a pure devotee suffer? And Srila Prabhupada answered, no, it was a lover's bite. But he saw the hand of Krishna in his suffering. And so we have to follow the example of Bali Maharaj. Atma Nivedanam is very good, and Krishna will take care of you. We must trust Krishna. You must have faith in Krishna. Just like my son is a businessman, and I myself, I didn't do any business, I didn't work, so I don't have a pension. So I gave my whole life to Krishna. But I'm traveling the world. And he said, how are you traveling the world? I don't have money to travel. And you're traveling the world. I said, yeah, give your life to Krishna. And my granddaughter, she was envious of me going to the beaches. And she said, hey, it's not fair. I said, no, you give your life to Krishna too. And you will also travel the world. It really works. The process works. I don't have to worry. I got a free house to stay in Vrindavan and a tiny house for my son in USA. So I have place. Everything is there. Krishna takes care. So we don't have to worry. So Bali, he saw the hand of Krishna. So he accepted, yes, Krishna takes everything away. That's the best mercy. But don't worry if Krishna will take everything from you, because it's only for a very special devotee, like Srila Prabhupada. Krishna took everything away. And Prabhupada said, now I have nothing, now I have to surrender to you. So Srila Prabhupada also said he saw the universal form during wartime in Calcutta in 1942. There was a siren. We ran to a shelter. The bombing began. And we were seeing Vishwarupa. And I was thinking, of course, this is also just another form of Krishna, but it's not a very lovable form. Can't love the Vishwarupa when it comes blazing. Prabhupada gives an example, just like a man might be a police officer, but when he's at home, he's a beloved father, but suppose he comes home firing his gun, then you're going to be afraid of him. So Krishna is our father, but in universal form, he showed to Arjuna. He was firing all the guns. And so it's a little fearful for us. So if this is for the non-devotees, time is destruction, going like moths into the fire. But for devotees, the time is Krishna. When people are about to die, there is something called terminal restlessness. Actually, they start shouting, "Don't touch me, don't touch me." Yamadutas are coming to get them. But the people in the hospital just think, "Oh, this is called terminal restlessness." For devotees, it's different. There was one devotee who had a stepfather in Mauritius. And she was chanting to Lord Nishingadev. And he was very calm. He said, oh, I see somebody. He's a half lion, half man. He's coming to my bed. And I guess you can't see him. So he's telling me I should chant what you're chanting. So then he started chanting. And then he left his body chanting, the stepfather. And then they took him to the crematorium. Devotees were chanting at the crematorium. And then the people, after they burned his body, they came out and they said, "We never saw such a beautiful white ash before." And they said, "And what was that you were singing? I think we should do that also when we burn the bodies." So that was really good. So he's a shelter. Devotees see time as Krishna's representation. So Prahlad says, "I know your time, but I'm being crushed. So I surrender to you. Please protect me." And Prabhupada in that purport, this is prayers of Prahlad, which I will talk about in the seminar. Suffering humanity must surrender to Krishna as Krishna demands. Abandon all varieties of religion and surrender to me. Do not fear, I'll protect you from all sinful reactions. So Krishna says, "I'll protect you from time, don't worry. It's my servant." So I can give you something. This is from a non-devotee, very rich, famous person, lady, who died of stomach cancer at the age of 40. She had realization before she died. "I had the world's most expensive car in my garage, but now I have to move in a wheelchair. Our house sells all kinds of branded clothes, shoes, and valuables, but now my body is wrapped in a small cloth provided by the hospital. I have plenty of money in the bank, but now I benefit nothing from this amount. My house was like a castle, but now I'm sleeping on 2 beds in the hospital. From 5-star hotel to 5-star hotel, but right now I'm spending time in the hospital, moving from lab to lab. I've given hundreds of people signatures, but this time medical records are my signature. I've had 7 barbers to do my hair, but now I don't have a hair on my head. I traveled in a private jet. I can fly anywhere, but now I need 2 aides to walk to the hospital door. Although there are a lot of food, now my diet is 2 tablets a day and a few drops of salt water at night. This home, car, plane, furniture, reputation, none of them serves me. None of this will relax me. There's nothing real except death. So, and then she says, at the end of the day, it's all about health. Of course, she didn't know there's more to it than death. There is life after death. And non-devotees, they just see death and they try not to worry about it. Some people, one man said to Prabhupada, I'm not afraid of death. So Prabhupada answered to him, do you cross the street on the red light? If you're not afraid, you will cross the street on the red light and cars can hit you. And so you're afraid of death. Yes, you are. So we're being crushed. We're being crushed. And Kunti says also that time is a witness. Not only death is a witness. There's a purport to this is 1.828. Another name of the Paramatma feature of the Lord is Kala, or eternal time. It is a witness of all our actions, good and bad, and he gives our reactions. It's no use saying we don't know why and for what we are suffering. We may forget our misdeed that we suffer now, but we must remember Paramatma is our constant companion. He knows everything past, present, and future. So Paramatma, it's very interesting, maybe you didn't know, that Paramatma expands externally as time. Time is an expansion of Paramatma. Therefore, we don't waste time. That's devotees. Avyartakalatvam, the symptom of bhava. And Bhagavatam says persons who are actually intelligent and philosophically inclined should endeavor only for that thing which is not obtainable by wandering from the highest planet to the lowest. And that is Krishna Prem. We should look for Krishna. And devotees, they're actually beyond time. In 1st Canto, 16th chapter, verse 8, the sages of Naimisharanya say, as long as Yamaraj, who causes everyone's death, is present here, no one shall meet with death. The great sages have invited Yamaraj to sit in Bhagavatam class. So we should take advantage hearing the deathless nectar in the form of this narration. So Yamaraj is here with us today, so we will not die in the class. And that's why you should always go to class, because Yamaraj likes to hear katha, Krishna katha. Yamaraj is always in here, he's in the class. He's listening, maybe one of you, I don't know. There's Yamaraj, we don't know who is who here. But yes, he's here, he's listening. And so you won't die as long as you're here. And so we shouldn't be afraid of him. Yamaraj, when he instructs his messengers, he says, don't bring those who are chanting Hare Krishna. You offer respect to my devotees. You go to those who don't want to chant. So Prabhupada was lecturing on that verse of Yamaraj, advising his messengers in India in 1971 in Gorakhpur. So he had a class full of Indian people, and so Prabhupada said, bring to me everyone who does not become life member of ISKCON. They all became life member, because if a devotee says something, you better watch out. It'll come true. So if devotees can expand on the words of Gita of Krishna. And Shukadev, we can see so many examples of Shukadev expanding on the words of Gita. So, yes, we don't like to meet death, but we don't know how to get rid of death. Of course, we know, and that is to hear about Krishna. 2.3.17, Ayarharati Vaipunsam, Vidyanastanchyana Tasyarti Akshanonita Uttama Shloka Vartaya. Both by rising and setting, the sun decreases duration of life of everyone, except one who uses the time discussing topics of the all-good personality of Godhead. So everyone is in that frying pan that Yudhishthira was talking about, except devotees who are hearing about Krishna. So we should stay on the boat of Krishna consciousness and don't, if we jump off the boat, then we'll end up in the frying pan. Be careful. So Bhaktivedanta Thakur, he says his song Udila Aruna, you spend your nights uselessly sleeping and daytime decorating your bodies. You've received this greatest gift of the human form. You don't care for it. Not caring for the darling of Yasoda, you slowly fall through your last moments till death. With every rising and setting, the sun, a day passes and is lost. Why do you remain idle and not serve Lord of the heart? So another very interesting thing about time, in 7th Canto, 1st chapter, verse 12, time factor enhances the sattva gun, the mode of goodness. So, if we are in the mode of goodness, then we will be favored by time. We will be favored. I know I have a friend, and she was supposed to leave her body about 15 years ago, maybe 20 years ago, and the astrologer said. And then after she didn't die, she did get very sick. She didn't die. Went back to the astrologer and said, okay, now what? I didn't die. Astrologer said, I can't say you're supposed to die. I can't say now. You're not supposed to be here. Krishna gives us extra time if we need it. And so she's a great preacher, and so that's why Krishna gave her more time. But he may also take away your life too. There was one 14-year-old girl who left her body in Vrindavan, and when Prabhupada was there. And she had a huge lifeline all the way down, but she got cancer at 14, and she had to leave her body. And so it can go either way, but generally he extends our life. But sometimes if we're like going away from Krishna consciousness, he may take our life more quickly. Or if he needs us, like perhaps Tamal Krishna Maharaj, he had a sudden death, which we were not expecting. So people ask me, why did this happen? I said, well, Prabhupada couldn't wait. He needed him right away, so. And yeah, very quick. So he didn't have to suffer a long death. And so now there is a time for creation. In 2nd Canto, 7th chapter, verse 39, there's a time for creation, a time for maintenance, and a time for destruction. At the beginning of creation, there's Brahma, penance, Prajapatis, sages. During maintenance, there's Vishnu, demigods, and kings. And in the end, there's irreligion, Lord Shiva, and atheists, full of anger. So these atheists, there was a whole list of atheists who suffered so much at the time of death. There was one, I remember, in the list. He was the leader of the Satanic movement who preaches we should follow the devil against God. It's time of death, he said, something's wrong. Everything is not all right. Everything's not okay. He was Yamadutas were coming for him. So and they will come for others who are giving trouble to. There's so many wars going on and so many problems in the world, and yes, they think now I'm very happy, but just wait till time of death. So yeah, there's a time for everything, and here Krishna comes as time, but in the spiritual world it's all different. There's spiritual time, no past, no future, only present. Just like we see if we read Krishna book, that Narada Muni was visiting all of Krishna's 16,108 palaces within a few minutes. So he also is beyond time. But he went to the first one, and Krishna was laying on his bed. He got up, and then Rukmini was worshipping Narada. He went to the next one. Krishna was having breakfast. He went to another one, he was having lunch. Another one, he was in the pool with his wives, enjoying in the afternoon. Another one, he was getting up in the morning and giving donations to the Brahmins. So each of those 16,108 palaces had a different time zone. Can you imagine that? We only had 24, I believe, time zones. But that was 16,108. So if you put it in your brain, it will explode. You can't figure that out. How can that be? Spiritual time is different. So Prabhupada was also beyond time. He was beyond time, and he never wasted his time. Śrīmad was traveling with him, and he had a servant. He was a servant. He said, I had a difficult time keeping up with Prabhupada as he traveled. He was 75, I was 20. And sometimes on the morning walks, the disciples will look at each other, shake their heads, and wonder, when is he going back to the temple? I had that experience. I went on a morning walk in Juhu Beach, Bombay, with Prabhupada. And, I was late. I was running to catch up. And then Prabhupada stopped. When I came, Prabhupada stopped everything. Hare Krishna. I said, oh, wow, he got the time for me. Even I'm just some insignificant one of thousands. He had time. But then when he started walking, he was walking so fast. And he was 70-something, I was 20-something, and I was trying to figure out, how does he walk so fast? Some people did say his feet weren't touching the ground. That might help. But it was, I could never figure it out, how he did that, or other things were just beyond. When I would be in a class with Prabhupada, I would look at him, and to me it was like a film. Like he was projected there somehow, and I couldn't figure out where he was actually. Is he here, or is he somewhere else, or where is he? I never figured it out. And so during one short flight from New York, many devotees arranged for seats in the same row as Srila Prabhupada, and Śrīmad was next to Prabhupada. And as the flight was going on, some disciples began to fall asleep and fall over like that. And it was quite a sight. with all these devotees kind of falling over. And Prabhupada was not amused. He said, just see, everyone is wide awake except for the devotees. They're in Maya, sleeping. Everyone else is awake. Why they can't stay awake? And Srila Kirti said, usually when Prabhupada addressed me this way, I became silent. I was afraid of saying the wrong thing, probably disturb him further. So I just waited for him to stop. And actually, I didn't even try to argue. Devotees only slept a few hours compared to non-devotees. We were sleeping like 4 hours, basically, when we joined. And he said, one thing was certain, I didn't sleep on that flight. So then another thing was one of our ISKCON devotees, Sannyasi Śrīmad Bhaktivedanta Swami, had darshan of Prabhupada's childhood deities, Radha Govinda, at the temple. And he saw the pujari putting on nice clothes. Then he put a watch on the deity. And so we know Krishna's in control of time, but when we take care of him, we think he needs to know the time like we do. And so he was putting a watch on Krishna. I mean, sometimes Prabhupada has watched the deities also. I see that in different temples. So, Prabhupada, we should follow his advice. And Bhagavad Gita describes the regulated principles of freedom. Though Prabhupada was liberated, but to show us and to live in the most effective way, he organized 24 hours to accomplish his service. There was a best time when the air was cool and the neighborhood quiet for taking a morning walk. And there was a best time to greet the deities, and according to their time. And there was a best time for devotees to gather and to eat for health, 1:30, I believe, every day, and answer letters. He was doing it during his massage. He was kind of multitasking. So then he scheduled his acts, not for his sake, but for performing, giving an example to us. So there is one last story I'd like to share with you about Krishna and time. In New York City, there was book marathon. Constantly, it was like going on for years. It wasn't just in Christmas. Christmas was more, but it was going on for years and years. So then at one point, the management decided to change Mangal Arti from 4:30 to 4:45, 3:45. Mangal Arti at 3:45. And Prabhupada came, he looked at the deities, and he said, they're not getting enough sleep. Krishna has to work hard the whole day herding the cows. He must get his sleep. In New York, I don't know where he's going to herd the cows, but anyway. So Krishna, he has his time, and he needs to, that's why we have very regulated worship, and we have Mangalarti, then they changed Mangalarti back. They wanted books distributors to get out quickly, but no, Prabhupada didn't like that idea. And so we have to go according to Krishna's time. Sometimes we pray, and it takes more time, but it's Krishna. He has his time. And he'll give us the answer at the right time. So we'll stop here. If you have any questions or comments, you can ask at this point.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you for the nice class. I had a question on time, like it was mentioned that the devotees don't waste time, but
Devotees don't waste time.
Yeah, but like for aspiring devotees like me, like it's not like I do waste time actually.
You waste time.
Yeah.
You're not alone.
So,
You're not alone.
Yeah. So like, what happens like when we are kind of in between?
What happens when?
We are in between.
Microphone.
We are in between, like we're not pure yet, but we are like.
What happens if we're in between? Will Krishna still favor us? Yes, I have a story about a mother of 6 children, and she was on her way to London. She was in Ireland, on her way to London to catch a ferry, and then she got caught in a traffic jam. So according to the time, she was 1 hour in the traffic, and she had 1 hour to make the ferry. But she didn't waste her time. She was chanting Nishinga mantras. the whole time she was waiting. And somehow or other, she made the ferry. But there's no explanation for it. I mean, she went beyond the time that it was. So yeah, you're still protected. In the purport, 9th canto, 4th chapter about Ambarish, Prabhupada says, from the very beginning of our devotional service, we have protection from Krishna. So yes, but try not to waste time, you know. I think the biggest problem today is the cell phone for waste. His Holiness Sachinanda Swami calls it a weapon of distraction. We have weapons of destruction, and we have weapons of distraction. And so what I tell devotees, if you haven't finished your rounds, chant at least one round before you touch the phone, every time. Every time before you touch the phone, chant one round. But some people, they don't touch it until they finish, so that's good. That's very, very good. Try to remember, time is precious. Time is and you can't get it back. And Srila Prabhupada would always say, okay, now the time is 8:22. You cannot buy that back with any amount of gold. That's something you can't buy. And it's something that is lost. So we have a certain amount of breaths. And if we waste our time, like even this running is not good because you use your breath more quickly if you're running too much. And so you have to be careful. That's why the yogis, they hold their breath. They practice pranayama. The perfection is to hold your breath. And then you can live hundreds of years. Yeah, we had one yogi in Vrindavan, 700 years old, they said. And now he left his body, but he did come down. He would just live up in a hut on top of stilts on the Jamuna River. He did come down. There was a Kumbh Mela in Vrindavan. He came down and he gave darshan to the ISKCON devotees, and he praised Prabhupada. He said he's doing the most wonderful thing. So yeah, they appreciate. Now, what can you do when you're 700 years old, or even 100 years old? Yeah. Okay, any other question? She has up here in front.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you for the nice class. Sometimes we want to do more service or advance our sadhana, but we might not have enough time because of responsibilities or the limitations of our body or things like that. But does Krishna give us all the time we need, or how can we understand that?
He gives you all the time you need. What you need to develop is desire. If you have the desire to do service, then it will be fulfilled. Krishna says in Gita, 12th chapter, verse 9, by performing the practice of bhakti yoga, you will develop a desire to attain me. So that's what's important, because at the time of death, it depends on your desire. Where you want to go, what you want to do. If you want to serve Krishna, you say, oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't do much in this life, but I would really like to serve you. Perfect. Hare Krishna. Oh, Krishna, I want more service. Go to Krishna, okay? You'll get it. Okay, any other questions or comments? Yeah, oh, okay. And what is your name? I didn't know your name.
Savior.
Savior. That's a good name.
Thank you. Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you for the nice class. Mataji, you were talking about the universal form of Lord Krishna.
Universal form.
And we know that devotees, they prefer the two-handed form of Lord Krishna. So I was just wondering, why did Lord Krishna appear in his four-handed form in front of Bhishma Dev when he was passing away?
Why did he appear in his four-handed form?
Was it because we know Bhishma Dev, he's a pure devotee, he's a Mahajan. Right. Was it his desire, or was it Krishna's desire?
It was Bhishma's desire. He prayed like that he would like to see the four-handed form of Krishna. Pure devotees also go to Vaikuntha too. It's not just Goloka. And some people go to Vaikuntha, some people go to Ayodhya. So in Vaikuntha, everyone has four hands. And Krishna, even in Dwaraka, sometimes he would show his four hands. When his wife, Rukmini, fainted, he used two hands to pick her up and two hands to wipe her eyes and fix her hair. He's actually four-handed in Dwarka. Only in Vrindavan is he two-handed. In Dwarka he appears two-handed, but if it's required, he takes out his four hands. Another time was when Draupadi was was saying, "Don't kill Ashvatthama," and Bhima was saying, "Kill him." So he had two hands for Bhima and two hands for Rukmini to keep them separate, as Bhagavatam says. Once he goes out of Vrindavan, then four hands. And so that's how Bhishma saw him. He saw him in that Vaikuntha form of Vasudeva, of the four-handed form he saw, not the two-handed. And that was his desire. He wanted to see the four-handed form of Krishna, time of death, and he got it. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay, over here.
Hare Krishna Mataji, just a comment rather than a question. I think in the verses we heard how Lord Vamanadev reduced his universal form down to a size that could be handled. Just a note that we have Shalagram Shila of Lord Vamanadev on our altar.
Oh, you have Vamanadev. Oh, wonderful.
So he's the chief recipient of our worship, actually.
Oh, wow. Vamanadev Shalagram you have. Okay, great. Another comment, you kind of reminded me of something Prabhupada said. He said that, why does Krishna come down in a smaller form? So we can worship him, so we can dress him. He said, if you try to dress the universal form, thousands of heads, it'll take you a whole lifetime. Put on all the jewelry and all the crowns and all the, thousands of heads and turbans. Oh my, just imagine. The pujari, the pujari, you'll need thousands of pujaris, for the universal form. And you couldn't even reach, actually. It's very, very big. But he came in a small form that we can handle. And we can feed and we can dress. And he'll stay in the temple like universal form. He won't even fit here. So yeah, we got that. Okay, any other questions, comments? Jai, glories to Prabhupada, Hare Krishna.
Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Yasa Sakale Driya Vriya